Hey, what's going on, my friends, and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Victor, and today I'm going to share with you 7 signs that you are ungrounded. Now, first off, being ungrounded is not that big of a deal. It's quite common, and there's an easy fix. In fact, towards the end of the video, I'm going to share with you some healthy ways of grounding back in. Number 1 is feeling a little bit spacey or dreamy. And this can be kind of a attractive state of being to the spiritual seeker, because in this sort of spaced out state is oftentimes when we have kind of, exciting psychic perceptions, like seeing orbs and auras and energy. I used to just sometimes stare at like a wall, and I would almost trip out like I was on a psychedelic. I could see energy and stuff like that. And it's really cool. It's really interesting when this begins to happen. You start to be able to actually see visually energy and auras. However, lingering in that state of being can prove difficult in other areas, like with communication and other things, which I'll get into in a moment. But anyway, that's one of the signs that you are ungrounded. Number 2, the inability to focus and concentrate. A lot of times when we are ungrounded, we feel really, really good. We feel really tapped in and inspired and charged that we don't know what to do with ourselves. All these ideas and downloads and insights are coming, but they're not going anywhere. They're not being brought into fruition because we're just kind of bouncing from one idea or insight or direction to the next without remaining focused, remaining grounded, and seeing that idea again into fruition, into completion. Number 3, your communication, the things you're saying, even though it feels amazing to you, is not landing with other people. And I went for years being very ungrounded, and I'll tell you about that in a little while here, kind of an extreme case. And I thought it was everybody else. I thought I was like this special starseed who for some reason was stricken and bound to this low vibration 3D reality filled with a world of asleep, unconscious people. And it was all them and not me. And then eventually I read this book by Dale Carnegie called How to Win Friends and Influence People. And one of the first things this really brilliant author emphasized is this: it's seek to understand, not be understood. I went around wanting to be heard, wanting to be understood, thinking no one gets me, no one can click with me. But I wasn't taking the time to understand others' perspectives. I wasn't taking the time to be mindful and asking myself, what I'm about to say, do I really think this person's going to be able to understand or grasp it? Where are they at in their life, in their spiritual journey? Maybe I can take more time to be mindful of them and be more creative and grounded in my communication so we can kind of meet halfway. So if you find that you are sounding very brilliant to yourself, but no one seems to be getting you, you very well could be ungrounded, my friend. Number 4, irritability. In fact, this happened to me just a second ago. And one of the things here, my friends, is we get ungrounded all the time. This is not like a knock at your character. It's like how we go to sleep and we wake up. There are just different states of consciousness we oscillate from and to and from throughout the day. And one of the ways you'll know that you're ungrounded is that you become irritable. In fact, the reason I say that is because I get ungrounded inevitably almost every time I film a video, at least after. But when I'm in that creative flow, I am quite ungrounded and irritable. In fact, I was just sitting here like a few minutes ago about to film this video, and my lovely wife came up and she just kind of put her arm around me. And she said, "I love your shaved head," is what she said. And she gave me a kiss, and it irritated me. Why would that happen? It's such a sweet thing. Well, because I'm ungrounded, because I'm ready to shoot this video, I'm kind of in my own little world here. And any disturbance to my precious reality bubble it can produce that feeling of irritation. Another one is losing track of time. A few times a year, my friends and I go to Costa Rica and we drink plant medicine. And this Huachumero, this awesome dude who serves the San Pedro, he teaches us always the 5 laws of creation from Bashar. And I think the third law, one of the laws is time and space do not exist, but the perception or the experience of it is real. And that becomes a very obvious thing when you're very ungrounded. It's very tough to adhere to this sort of human created time system because we're in our own sort of divine flow. There's nothing wrong again with being ungrounded. We're kind of in the flow. But when it comes to like making deadlines, making appointments, it just becomes like it's really forced. It's not easy. And you might even find yourself missing appointments, just totally spacing out, forgetting, oh my God, I had this thing. I had made plans for this person. I totally blanked out. You also feel very detached, detached from reality and more easily to recognize, more detached from your body. I have this coach named Doug, and once in a while he'll say, Victor, can you feel your feet? Victor, can you feel your feet? Of course, in a way you can, but when you're really ungrounded, it's difficult to really ground back in and become aware and feel the fact that you have feet. Your feet are touching the earth. Right now I'm on this carpet thing. I'm ungrounded right now, actually, as I film this video, honestly. And as I said that, I'm all head. I'm all like in the upper chakras right now. So feeling disconnected is a telltale sign. My wife always calls it popping out of her body, vibrationally speaking. And she has this thing where she like taps herself to come back in. Sometimes it's just a person. Sometimes other people's ungrounded energy can pop you out of your body, as my wife said. But yeah, there's just this sort of perception of feeling like, life is a dream and we're just sort of detached from the physical. And a big one that I don't see talked about in a lot of there's been other blogs written about being ungrounded. And one of the things I don't see talked about, but I think is maybe the most important, is when we're very ungrounded, we become intolerant of other people. Unfortunately, we do. Intolerant of people's shadow, people's ego, people's unconsciousness, which we all have, but in this sort of higher upper chakra, mode of operation, we become kind of almost judgmental. And this is where a lot of people can get to where they feel like, I don't belong here. I'm like a special star seed and I don't belong on this planet with these low vibration, 3D folks, these humans. That's not a good place to be. That's not a very enlightened way to go through life, nor is it heart-centered. It's not helpful to them. It's not helpful to us. It makes us feel very isolated, very alone, unnecessarily, by dwelling on the differences and being blind to the similarities that all humans share, which is the fact that we're all here doing our best at life. But anyway, I went for a long time, my friends, being completely ungrounded. I put myself into a position where I wasn't working. I had sort of moved. I wasn't with my friends. And I just went down that rabbit hole, like a lot of us go through, where I was doing a lot of spiritual seeking, a lot of elevating of my consciousness, meditation, astral projection, decalcifying my pineal gland. I went on the raw food diet, and I was just this floating ball of light that wasn't very useful, wasn't very happy, very easily agitated, just ungrounded. Now that's an extreme case, but because of that, I share that so that I feel qualified to share with you like what to do. If you're like relating with some of this, don't worry. It's not like the end of the world. It's actually a very quick fix. But the most important thing is becoming aware, which is the main essence of this video. But if you find you are ungrounded, well, keep listening and watching, because I'll share with you some ways to ground back in. Now, ground back in you will. Now, the way in which you do it can be either unconscious, unhealthy, or conscious. A lot of times the body will want to balance itself, and that's when we will find ourselves attracted to like very unhealthy behaviors and foods. Very like binging out on junk food, alcohol, like these things, and like really like, you know, intense television, which I still watch actually regardless sometimes. But the point is, those kind of things, they do ground us in effectively. But they're not healthy. They have consequences, obviously. There are better, less consequential ways you can ground in as well. What I like to do that always works for me is nature. And if you can find yourself a body of water, oh man, a cold plunge. I have a cold plunge in my garage, freezing cold water, submerge yourself in that. You'll be back in your body instantly. A cold shower. But being in nature is very, very therapeutic on many levels, but it will also help ground you in. There's also a thing my family and I will sometimes do, and it's called earthing. It's like a technical way of grounding. That's when you like literally go on the earth with your feet bare feet on the grass, on the earth. It really does have an effect on your physiology and your electrons and different things like that. I forgot the technical ramifications, but it is said to literally ground you back in. But the main thing is nature. Also heavier foods that can be healthy, heavy fats, heavy oils, for some of you who eat meat, like things like that, healthy versions obviously, but just healthier versions of heavier foods opposed to like cereal and ice cream and waffles, what I used to do, can also ground you back in. And mainly, my friends, taking a break from spirituality, self-pacing. One of the reasons I became so ungrounded is because I was going unnecessarily fast, diving down the rabbit hole, trying to seek and chase and sprint towards spiritual enlightenment. And I was going too fast to where I wasn't able to stay balanced, stay happy, stay present. Became ungrounded. So taking your time. A lot of times we become ungrounded when we're just chasing the next spiritual breakthrough. And I know they're exhilarating and I know they're exciting, but if we don't do anything with them, they're not even serving us at all. They're not helping us at all. If they're not being reflected in our behavior, the way we treat other people, the way we treat ourselves, the way we conduct ourselves and show up in our life. If we're just so preoccupied with chasing the next spiritual breakthrough, then we don't have time to really assimilate any of the lessons we're learning, and it's like going in one ear and out the other.